Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Tim Brown. This is Monday Morning Marketing and Coffee, and I'm going to be talking actually a little bit about sales today. This last week had a crazy week. One 24-hour period, we had 7 leads, and I was kind of blown away. I also experienced talking to one of our clients that had a lead that had called them, but they hadn't gotten back to him for 4 days. So I was thinking to myself, like, what happens when you have a good amount of leads, but you don't know how to sell? So I kind of wanted to talk through opportunities for selling and things that you could do better to sell, and kind of talk about kind of the inner mix between marketing and sales and how important it is to have both down. Thanks for joining, Clayton. So, learning how to sell is absolutely crucial for the entrepreneurial minded. I think it's not just about, that revenue, that sales revenue that you get from selling, but it's also learning how to communicate your ideas in a clear way that's compelling, that somebody can take action on. And, even if you have business, just more business than you can possibly handle, knowing how to communicate your ideas in a persuasive way, which is very close to selling, is very important for you to make sure your business stays fluid and stays moving along. Because especially if you have clients, you're in a service-based business. If you can't make sure people accept your work and use it, then it's hard to maintain a business for that long. So I really think selling is extremely important. So I would suggest taking 5 courses this next year, reading 5 books on selling. A couple of people to look to that I think are amazing: Grant Cardone. He has a book called Sell or Be Sold, and a couple other ones, The 10X Rule. There's an author called Chris Voss, who has a book called Never Split the Difference. And he used to be like a hostage negotiator, so it's an interesting perspective. And then lastly, Jeffrey Gitomer, and he has a book called The Little Red Book of Selling. It's good to get different perspectives and take them all with a grain of salt. Certain things about Grant Cardone and the way he sells, I wouldn't really suggest in Minnesota, because he's a little bit pushy. I really like the guy though. He has a lot of things that have helped me. So definitely check out some of these things. Maybe make a push to take 5 courses, read 5 books if you're trying to be an entrepreneur. I think, getting leads is that first step. Prospecting and then learning how to sell is really, really important too. So the third thing is constant prospecting mindset. So, we've created systems and even started to pull in other people from our team around these systems for prospecting on a regular basis. And so somehow, even with all of our Google traffic and all of our leads, 60% of our business is referral business. So there's a lot of opportunity there for us to grow, and probably for you to grow, getting consistent prospecting mindset around referral business, as well as obviously, I always talk about Google traffic and leads from Google traffic. 3 quick tips to get more sales this week or this month. I have a long-term mindset, really. Like, I don't care what I sell this next week or what I sell this next month. I think about 2 years from now and 3 years from now and what my business will be like, and I want that to be healthy. So I want to only sell prospects that we know that we can over deliver on and continue to have a couple of years from now, ideally. I'm going to take a sip here and give you these other tips. So my first tip is follow up quick. 3 days later is not a quick enough thing for most sales opportunities. You want to follow up that day, ideally. Number 2, look at progression, not a continuation. So, we're starting to get into these sales where there's multiple people that you're talking to. They're kind of pushing you up the ladder or those types of things. All I need to do is get a progression. So I need to try to make sure that this sale evolves along the way, not necessarily just continues. So like not another meeting in 2 months. How can we get a meeting with a decision maker further up the ladder in the next couple weeks? So a progression, not just a continuation. And then number 3, if it's a high priced item, don't be afraid to challenge the prospect with new ideas. So in our situation, search engine optimization is kind of a new idea for some of these people, and us having to kind of educate them along the way and maybe say, oh, you were looking at social media marketing, perhaps you would actually benefit from more Google traffic. That's kind of a challenge of what they came to you for. So especially when it's any item over $1,000 or whatever, you definitely want to be able to challenge them in a friendly way, but say, have you thought about it this way? Because that is extremely effective. But be agreeable. So I think, a really good exercise for me was trying to agree with my partner, my wife, everything that she said for 24 hours. So this is something out of Grant Cardone's Cardone U. And you realize very quickly when you try to agree with everything that they say for 24 hours, your partner. And you'll be surprised how much you're just being contrarian for fun. I mean, I was for sure. I was definitely a contrarian. I am somewhat of a contrarian person. I like that. It just makes a more interesting conversation. But in sales, being contrarian just for the sake of being contrarian is actually not the greatest. So I tried this exercise of agreeing with everything my partner said for 24 hours. And that allowed me to realize how much I'm kind of in an automated way disagreeing with people. So try to be agreeable in this process. And number 5, love sales. So, literally 3-5 years ago, if somebody said sales or salesman or something related to sales, I would wince. I was like, well, that's just grimy stuff, But I do think that being able to sell is extremely valuable, first of all. And I do think that my success is a high moral, ethical obligation for me and my family. And sales is just connecting the person, the prospect, with their needs. So if they needed something like what you have, for you to be able to connect them with that is extremely valuable. So to sell is human, and it's not grimy, and you should learn to love it. So I honestly think that mindset is extremely important, to really think of sales as important. And, you don't deliver value until a close. So you're not delivering value by just consulting with somebody, especially if what you do is a service. That's not that valuable, because they're likely not going to do much with it. So thinking about it that way, you don't deliver value until you close, and to really start to love that. And frankly, it's almost like a little vulnerable putting myself out here and talking about sales, because I know that some people think of sales as, especially in proper, super overly, polite Minnesota, we think of sales maybe as beneath us. And I think that you have to get out of that mindset. You have to get into the mindset of, this is a need. And when I learn to connect people with their needs and with what their business needs or with what they need as human beings, that it helps them, and you're thinking of yourself as being of service and educating and being doing that. I think that that's super important. That was a huge shift for me. It has definitely helped me kind of break out of that mindset of like sales as taking advantage of people or things like that. So it's really important to think of it as, it's something you love, and it helps if you believe in what you're selling deeply. So I think that that's really important, and that's an important distinction. If you work for, I don't know, the cable company or something like that, and you don't believe in it, get out, I guess, or improve on it and improve on the service until you do. until you do believe in it very strongly. And I think that that's really important. You can improve on the service until you deeply believe in it, until your conviction is so strong that it bubbles out in your enthusiasm for it, and you can't help but share that value with people everywhere you go. So if you don't believe in what you're selling, get out. If you don't believe in it 110%, get out, or improve until you do. So anyways, those are my 5 quick ways to get more sales. One more time real quick. Follow up quick. Look for a progression, not a continuation. If it's a high-priced item, don't be afraid to challenge the prospect. Be agreeable and love sales. Believe in what you're selling. So, okay, that's everything I got this morning. Thank you guys for joining me. Let me know in the comments if this was valuable. If you're on Instagram, check us out at facebook.com/hookagency if you want to comment. And do a little bit more of something you love about your work this week. And have a good one. Bye.